Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be looking at the 13-game main slate on Draftkings. A large slate, and we do have some weather concerns that we do have to be paying attention to. First one is the game in Cincinnati, with Cincinnati going up against Atlanta. Next game is Houston and Detroit, with all those wonderful Houston bats. Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and then maybe a Seattle versus Chicago White Sox, but I think that one's going to be fine. So let's just dive into the pitchers here. Carlos Rodon at the top, going up against Seattle. He's clearly the top option on the slate. I think he's in an absolute smash spot to have one of his ceiling games of that 30-point mark or higher. I think he's just a lock and load for cash. I think he's an absolute must. So Rodon, number one on the slate here. He's got a 37% strikeout rate on the season. He's going up against a Seattle offense that struggles. They strike out a lot. He's in a great matchup here. So Rodon, clear number one option for me. I could see VALDEZ right below him being kind of popular as well. Going up against Detroit. Again, this is a weather game, so you have to make sure you're paying attention to what the rain situation looks like. Are they going to start this game and then stop the game in 3 innings? At that point, you're probably not going to want to pay 10.2 because they're going to pull him. But VALDEZ, he's a fine option. I don't think that there's anything wrong with playing him at all. But it's another slate. I feel like these videos are on repeat. It's Houston, it's Toronto bats. I mean, those are your top two. There are some other teams that are in some amazing spots as well, so maybe they won't be as high owned tonight, but we want those high-powered bats again tonight. So paying up for Rodon and VALDEZ, it's going to be very, very difficult to get all those teams in. So again, nothing wrong with him. I think he's a fine play here, but it's going to be tough salary-wise. Manea, no, just pay up for Rodon or go up to VALDEZ, in my opinion. Gonsolin, Lopez is fine. I like Lopez here. He's in a nice spot as well. He's a great pitcher. And so, but 9.3K, a little pricey. I wish he was more like the mid 8K range. Even this 8.7, I think would be a little bit better. Because again, I think we want to, if we're going to pay up for Rodon, I think we need to go down a little bit more for our SP2, especially in cash, just so that we can fit those bigger bats in there. Again, nothing wrong with Lopez. I think he's fine play, absolutely, but it's just not where my cash builds are kind of lining up as I'm building around here. Kikuchi, kind of same thing. Paddock, I think he's in a nice spot as well. Arizona on the road is disaster zone. They have not won on the road since April 25th. 2 full months. They've lost 22 consecutive games on the road. They're averaging 2.7 runs per game in that stretch. So obviously, any pitcher that's going up against a team that's looking like that is going to be in a nice spot. And Paddock, he's in great form here. You can see his strikeout rate has certainly bloomed in the past couple of starts here. And they're starting to let him go deeper into games. You can kind of see he had a couple games here earlier in the season. And if you go back, it only goes back to April here. He had a shorter leash, but now it's more consistent of him going longer into games. So I think 8.8, another fine option. Again, is this where we're going to land? Possibly. I mean, I've had him in some of my builds that I like. But yeah, if you don't like Paddock, you can go with Mike Minor. Another great spot here. He's a workhorse. He's going over 100 pitches all the time. Lefty pitcher going up against these lefty bats of Texas. Really, their better bats are left-handers, and they struggle against left-handed pitching. So I think Minor, again, is in another great spot here. Cueto, no. Manoah got rocked by Baltimore in his last start out for 4 home runs. I don't see that happening again here at all. You know, Baltimore's offense has fallen off a cliff lately. They just got rocked by, who was the last night, who was 4K. So Baltimore, I don't know what's going on with them. Manoah, he's a solid pitcher. You know, we saw what his game can be against the Yankees here, even against Boston. You know, in AAA earlier on in the season, he was getting 8, 9, 10 strikeouts a game. It was incredible what he was able to do. So he's a solid pitcher for sure. I don't want to write him off. If that's where you land in your builds, great. You know, no issues. Yeah, so keep going down here. I'm looking. Dunning's probably, if you absolutely want to load up on some of the top bats, I think you got to go Dunning. I'm a little hesitant just because, you know, you kind of can see his form here is a little bit rough. But we're talking about a guy who has a higher strikeout rate than anybody in this range. I believe he's at a 25% strikeout rate. Yeah, 25% strikeout rate, 56% ground ball rate. So, you know, going up against KC, not a great offense. I'm trying to talk myself into Dunning here. I'm sure he's going to be come into some of my GPP builds 100%. But I don't know. If you land here, great. If you don't, totally fine as well. I just think there's other pitching options that you want to go to. Everybody else, no, not interested at all. So just kind of recap that. I know I went through that pretty quick. I just don't want these videos to be too long for you guys here. But Rodon, clear number one option. You're just going to jam in for cash. Valdez, I think he's a great play. It's a rain game, so make sure you're paying attention to the weather in this one. But it's going to be real tough to fit Rodon and Valdez and all the stud bats that are in play today. Lopez, fine. Kikuchi, even fine. Paddock, Minor, I think those two stand out in this range here. Manoah, I don't think he's going to get blitzed again by Baltimore. And Dunning. I think Dunning for a GPP play for some serious salary savings is a fine one right there. All right, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, how this slate is almost identical to every slate for the past who knows how many days. It seems like it's been going on forever. It's the Houston bats, it's the Toronto bats as your two top dogs. However, there are some other contenders that could match them and kind of spread the ownership out, which I'm very, very thankful for. Houston, their bats have finally gotten a bit of an increase in price, especially a guy like Alvarez, who was only like 4.9K just a week ago. So he's certainly got the boost at 6K. But guys like Brantley, guys like Tucker, you know, they're still way too cheap, in my opinion, for what they can provide. So those two, if you do, will go with Houston, I think for sure should be in your lineup there. Straw, if he is in again, he was batting leadoff at 2.5K. If he's in again, he provides the hitting upside, the stolen base upside. He's just great. So again, you know, it comes down to, do you want to use all of your outfield spots for Houston bats? Who knows? You know, but Straw can provide excellent value there. And outside of Houston, you know, again, we're looking at Toronto once again. And these Toronto bats, they're pricey. They're pricey. I mean, you guys know this by now. Like I said, we've gone through this how many slates in a row? It's Houston, it's Toronto. But Toronto catchers, always cheap, especially if it's McGuire. McGuire's hitting over 300 this season. 74 at bats, but still, there's no reason that this guy should be hovering near min price this long into the season here. So you can see what his upside can be. He didn't have a bat in this one. So, but you can see what he's capable of doing, and just an offense that can put up 6 to 10 runs easily tonight. For sure. You have to be, I think that's a great salary savings. So if you put in, you know, I might have found a way, just kind of talking here, McGuire, and then Straw. Okay, so there's 2.4, 2.7. You could jam in a bunch of those top hitters and go with Rondon and let's just see what happens if we plug in VALDEZ here. You're looking at 4K remaining for the rest of your bats. So you're probably going to have to find a couple more value plays just because there's so many guys in the bats that are close to the 6K range. It might be tough. So VALDEZ probably tough there. You go down to a guy like Minor or Paddock, and you're looking at 4.2, 4.3 remaining. So for sure, Toronto, Houston once again. However, there's two contenders I think that could take over them tonight, though, and that is Cincinnati. They're the first team here, going up against Drew Smyly. Now, again, this is a game where we have to be paying attention to the weather. There's some storms going in through around first pitch in the forecast models, but still, make sure you're keeping up to the minute with this. Things change throughout the day. But Cincinnati, their offense for sure going up against Smyly. Smyly has a serious home run issue. He hasn't allowed a home run in the past 2 starts, but he was going up against Miami and St. Louis, not the biggest of bats. So Cincinnati at home, we know what they're capable of. This is like one of the best hitting teams at home in that small ballpark, going up against a home run pitcher and a team that is at a very large discount compared to the Houston and the Toronto bats. I don't think I want to be paying 5.1K for India. He's a little bit too pricey. Winker and the lefty at 6-1 is a little nerve-wracking, but I think he's still a fine play there. But absolutely, Castellanos, he's probably one of the top plays on the day. I think, at least for bats, point per dollar wise. So Castellanos for sure. Stevenson, Votto, just can't get excited about Votto. Aquino, you could get excited about him. But look what happens again. Our offense, the earth. Oh, I did this in yesterday's video too. Outfield, the outfield gets full really quickly. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? I think that's going to be a really deciding point on this slate is who are you filling in this outfield position? Winker, Castellanos, Aquino, Grichuk, Teoscar Hernandez, Alvarez. Who else we got here? Brantley, Tucker, Straw. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many outfielders that you can play tonight. But Cincinnati, I think they're in another great spot, especially if this game is clear to go. Smyly can allow a lot of home runs. Cincinnati, we know what they're capable of. The fourth team, really in the top tier of offenses tonight, it's got to be San Diego. Hands down, San Diego. And once again, outfield. Just so many smash spots in the outfield. Tommy Pham, he's a righty going up against a righty, but he doesn't care. He's hitting over 300 against righties in the past month or two. So he's doing amazing. But you can put guys in like Cronenworth, Grisham, if you really want those lefty righties. And again, just like Cincinnati, they're cheaper plays comparatively to the other two Houston, Toronto bats who are probably going to be chalk once again. But San Diego being the late game, you're probably going to lose some ownership with that. People like to see their guys play early on. So San Diego could probably go a little bit lower owned, but I think they're in just as good of a spot as the other three teams here. So San Diego, Cincinnati, Toronto, Houston, those are your core four bats for the day. GPP wise, let me see. New York Yankees going up against Perez. I don't trust Perez. I've never been a fan of Perez. He's had his moments. Let me see if I can find him on here. He's had his moments. He's had his games. But he's also had his moments and he's had his games in the other direction as well. I remember being high on him in this Houston game here, and he shut him down. But then he goes up against them again, and he pitched -10, -11, 25, 21, 23. So he's just all over the place. I think Yankees could absolutely be getting to him just with all their right-handed power in that lineup for sure. So they're probably going to go under the radar. Maybe not just because of the name recognition of everything. But again, what position are we talking about if we're looking for the Yankees stack? Obviously, there's like DJ LeMahieu and all those guys here, but it's Judge, it's Stanton. 2 more outfielders. There's so many smash spots in the outfield tonight. It's gonna be really, really tough to find 3 of them and fade the rest. So so Yankees for sure, a nice GPP option. Minnesota going up against Quantrill. Quantrill doesn't strike anybody out. So I love the Minnesota bats here, especially if you get some of those lefty bats, guys like Kepler going in there and their home run upside for sure. REESE is still too cheap, especially if he's leading off. Larnack, outfield. I feel bad giving you guys all these outfield plays just because there's just so many of them. There's so many of them. Everybody else, not too interested in. I mean, it's not that they're bad plays. It's just, it's such a large slate. There's so many different ways that you can go. But I really think ownership's going to be more spread out because it is such a large slate. We're not going to see Toronto at 65% like we did a couple of slates ago when it was a 6-gamer. We're not going to see Houston at 50% like we have for the past week, or at least we shouldn't, just with like the rain probably pulling some people off and the larger slate. But still, Toronto, Cincinnati, Houston, and San Diego. Those are your core 4, or at least my core 4 bats on the slate. And then Rodon, back to the pitchers real quick before we wrap things up. Rodon, Valdez, fine play. Rain game, make sure you're paying attention to the rain. But it's going to be tough to fit in both of those guys. Lopez, fine. Kikuchi, fine. Just land in a weird price range. I like Paddock and Minor much more. Manoah, if you want. And then Dunning, if you really want to go wild, I think Dunning is where you can land in the lower range here. So that kind of wraps things up. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. We know that, out of the couple hundred views that we do get on these videos, more than half of you guys are not subscribed. So hit that subscribe button. You'll get notifications whenever we do have these videos appearing. Hit the thumbs up button, comment below, please. It really does help us with the engagement and the YouTube algorithm and getting these videos out to you. And it allows us to keep this content free for all of you as well. So good luck in your contest tonight. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So have a wonderful day. It's beautiful out in most of the country. So I hope you enjoy your day and happy Friday.